We are officially 11 weeks through the NFL season, and several NFL teams still have questions at quarterback. So in this video, I'm going to go over every single team that might need a quarterback this offseason. Hit that like and subscribe button if you guys do go on to enjoy. Let's hop into it. So I'm going to break this down into two different categories: the teams that desperately need one and the teams that could consider one. I'm going to start off with the could consider teams, and then towards the end, we'll talk about teams that are completely desperate for a quarterback. Let's start off with our first team, and it's going to be the Arizona Cardinals. So coming into the season, I did not think the Arizona Cardinals were going to be in the market for a quarterback, but look, Kyler Murray's been terrible. He has been bad. Or I shouldn't say terrible, but he hasn't been good. He just hasn't been good. And when you're paying a quarterback that much money, you want to see better. And frankly, it does feel like with Kyler Murray, the Cardinals' ceiling is pretty capped because they're just not a great football team, especially on the offense right now. Brissett has come in and has given that offense a little bit of life. There's good players in this team. The defense is playing better. You got Marvin Harrison Jr. I know there's injuries on the offense this year, but there's enough weapons to go around. It's clear Kyler Murray's probably not the guy. So in this offseason, what do you look for? Do you look for a new veteran quarterback to step in day one and immediately try to take your team to the next level? Look at Daniel Jones, look at Baker Mayfield, look at Sam Darnold. Do you look for a guy similar to those guys? And if so, who are you looking for? Because the only name that comes top of mind would be like a Mac Jones, but I don't know if Mac Jones is going to be your savior. So if you are Arizona, do you potentially look at the draft? Do you maybe hope that somebody falls to you? Because you're not going to draft inside the top 5 more than likely, because you're going to win a couple more games. So you're probably looking at drafting somewhere between like 7 and 13. And guys like Ty Simpson and Fernando Mendoza are probably going to be off the board. So what I think is going to ultimately happen is I think they're going to probably sign a veteran quarterback. Maybe it's just Jacoby Brissett for another year, and they're going to look towards 2027, a class that looks to be a lot deeper and have a bit more depth to it. So I think they might wait till 2027, but they're going to need a quarterback, and they'll definitely consider one this offseason, and I think they'll also consider one next offseason too. Next up, let's talk about the next team. It's going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars. So this one is probably the team that is going to consider it the least, but I think they will at least consider potentially making a quarterback change. Trevor Lawrence has been up and down this year, and you just paid him a crap ton of money, so realistically speaking, it's going to be hard to get off that contract. Now, there would be teams interested in him because he is a talented quarterback that went first overall for a reason, so a team like Pittsburgh would probably be okay spending some capital to get him on their team. Ultimately, though, if you are Jacksonville, I don't see them getting rid of Trevor Lawrence. I think they're going to allow him a few more years, 1 or maybe 2 more years within the system to see if he's actually the guy. But I think they should start considering one for sure, at least probably in the day 2, day 3 draft pick range, where you can get a backup quarterback and kind of put the burner on Trevor a little bit. Sort of say, hey, you're the starter, you're the guy. You don't continue playing well, we might give this young rookie a chance. Who they could look for, I don't know. Maybe if somebody like Sam Levitt were to fall, Lenoris, I don't know, somebody like that. Maybe you let them kind of play behind Trevor, and again, spark some fire under Trevor to play a little bit better, because look, Trevor has not been great this year. It's been quite disappointing. We came into the season hoping that with the additions of BTJ last year, with Travis Hunter, with all those guys, with the offensive line being decent, with Liam Cohen coming in and sparking a run game, that Trevor would be better this year. And while Trevor hasn't been horrendous, he's just been very inconsistent, very up and down, very much not what you want from your franchise quarterback who you just paid a crap ton of money to. So for the Jacksonville Jaguars, a team that doesn't have their first round pick next year, by the way, maybe they should start to consider one. Maybe somebody that's a better fit for what Liam Cohen does. Either that, or maybe draft somebody day 2, day 3 to spark a fire under Trevor. So very light. I think they'll stick with Trevor, but I think they should at least start to think about their quarterback room if Trevor cannot turn around. Next up, let's talk about the Miami Dolphins. So the Miami Dolphins are in a interesting spot because they're actually playing better football as of late, like a lot better football. They're winning some football games. They look a bit more competitive. The offense is playing a little bit better. The defense is playing a lot better. So there's some positive momentum going for Miami. I still think they need to hit a strong reset button. Maybe a new head coach, probably a new quarterback at some point. The only issue is they got Tua under contract for a few more years. Now they do have a potential out after next year. So I wonder if they're just going to stick it out with Tua, or if they're just going to say, you know what, we're going to eat this capital, we're going to cut Tua, get rid of McDaniel, and fully hit a hard reset button, I wouldn't be surprised if they do that. Now, if they were to do that, you're going to have to draft a quarterback, and you're probably not going to spend your first rounder on one. You probably shouldn't spend your second. I would probably assume a third round pick on a quarterback to just say, hey, Sam Levitt, Brennan Sorsby, somebody like that, you're going to be our quarterback for a year. You can be as bad or as good as you want to be. We're not going to want to win games because we're going to want to go all in for 2027. Maybe that's what they do, but I do think they'll probably just stick it out with Tua Tagovailoa for one more year, who has been playing better football lately. He really has been. He's still an injury risk. He's still terrible in press conferences. He's still Tua, we all know, but he has been a little bit better. And if you can surround him with a bit more talent, a good offensive line, some decent weapons, the Dolphins offense can be functional with Tua. So I wonder if that's what their ultimate plan will be. Stick it out one more year with Tua and start building towards a quarterback change in 2027. We'll see though. I definitely think they should consider one. Next up, let's talk about the LA Rams. So the Rams are in an interesting spot because, I mean, you already have your guy in Matthew Stafford. You're not going anywhere with Stafford. As long as Stafford wants to play, he's going to be your quarterback. He's earned that right, and he's been incredible this year. The question for the Rams team is not who's going to start for their future if Stafford returns next year. It's going to be how much longer does Stafford really got? How much does he want to play in the league? Because he's already kind of flirted with that conversation for a while now, and this offseason, there was all the worries about the injuries, and so far this year, it's been good. But when you are getting up there in your age, you're in the 30s, and, you know, your team maybe is hitting a ceiling a little bit. Like, the Rams are a great football team that potentially could win a Super Bowl this year. If he wins that Super Bowl, or if they make a deep run, does he ride off into the sunset and call it a career? If they do so, who's going to be the quarterback of the future? It's not Stetson Bennett. It's not Jimmy Garoppolo. Who's it going to be? They're going to have to figure that out. And maybe with their 2 first-round picks this year, they could afford to make a trade up for a quarterback, or, you know, maybe draft somebody that falls to one of their picks. Like, they are one of these teams that is very talented that, you know, yes, having 2 first-round picks would be nice. You could draft a tackle, you could draft a corner, which is what I think they're going to do. But if it doesn't work out, maybe you just say, hey, Stafford's going to retire this year. Let's go ahead and take Ty Simpson to be our future quarterback, or Mendoza, or somebody like that. I could see the Rams being a team that would consider doing so. By the way, if I'm Ty Simpson, Mendoza, Dante Moore, I'm begging the Rams, please come take me, because you guys have Puka Nacua, Adams, a great team. Come take me. Come pick me up. Everybody would want to be on that Rams team. So I think they would consider it this year. I think Stafford has at least one more year in him, at least. So I think they might be fine for one more year, but they probably should start considering it because they do have that additional draft capital this offseason. 2 first-round picks could be pretty clutch for them. Lastly, I'm going to throw 2 teams into the mix here that might consider one, but probably not. Those are the New Orleans Saints and the Carolina Panthers. Both of these quarterbacks are coming off their best games of their entire careers. Bryce Young had over 400 yards against the Atlanta Falcons and played incredible. Prior to that, though, been very up and down, mostly kind of mediocre. Again, he's probably going to be the Panthers quarterback for one more year, and then they'll pick up his 5th-year option, or they'll sign him to an extension. At some point, he's got to pick it up a bit more the rest of the way. Be a bit more consistent. And then for Tyler Shock, I just think the Saints are probably going to stick it out with him for a few more years. Even if he doesn't play well, the Saints team in general is just really void of talent that they would be wise to let Shock ride it out, see if he can be the guy. If not, look towards 2027 or 2028 to potentially draft the future guy. But I just don't see them drafting a quarterback this year. I'd be very surprised if they did. All right, let's now go in and talk about teams that are desperate for a quarterback. These are teams that have to take a quarterback very, very soon. Let us begin with the Las Vegas Raiders. So when the Raiders made the big-time move to make the trade for Geno Smith, everyone, including myself, thought this was a really good move. Geno Smith for Seattle was a pretty solid quarterback for several years, and though he was never a guy that led them to any sort of deep playoff success, he got them there. And I think for the Raiders, the thought process when they brought in Geno Smith was, let's bring in Geno Smith for 1 to 3 years. He can be that really solid bridge quarterbacks that keeps us afloat, keeps the fan base happy because we're competitive. And then in 2027 or 2028, when it's a deeper quarterback class, at least in theory, we can take one of those quarterbacks to be the future guy, let them sit behind Geno for a year or 2, and then let them be the starter. What has ultimately happened, though, has been kind of the opposite. Geno Smith has stepped in and has looked terrible this year, just outright terrible. He's had moments of good play, but he's just been bad. He has not looked like the veteran quarterback they wanted him to be. He looks just out of focus. He doesn't look like he's making sharp reads. He's not being the veteran bridge quarterback they wanted him to be. Now you're looking at a team now that's not competitive, that's back inside the top 10, probably going to be drafting somewhere in the top 6 or 5, and they're going to be in position to yet again have the chance to take a top quarterback. Will they do it? I don't think so. I think they'll probably prioritize a tackle or some pieces defensively, but this team is just, they're bad at quarterback yet again. And I do believe next year that Geno will be the starter. I'm going to assume they're going to try and build a bit better of a supporting cast around him, mainly offensive line, to see if they can maybe spark Geno to start playing a little bit better and then go back to their vision. But I think when they made the signing for Geno, there was this grand vision of Geno being a decent bridge quarterback, getting them to that next level of being, you know, a good culture, a competitive football team, and then get back on track into being a playoff contender with that young future quarterback. But it hasn't been the case. And so now I wonder if they would at least start to consider a quarterback change, whether it maybe might be, I don't know, Kenny Pickett getting the start or Aiden O'Connell or somebody. But it just is clear to me that Geno Smith is just not the guy he was. And it puts the Raiders now in a tough spot. I think they're going to be forced to probably allow Geno to be the quarterback again next year. But do they maybe take a quarterback and maybe try to do what the Saints are doing, where they spend their second round pick on, I'll say Sam Levitt again, like Sam Levitt, and see if Sam can be the guy after Geno? And, you know, maybe midway through the season, you let Sam start and let him fly a little bit. I wonder if they'd consider that. But I mean, the quarterback room has been a complete travesty for the Raiders for several years now. Next up, let's talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. So Pittsburgh is in contention for a playoff spot this year, but they have a 40-year-old quarterback named Aaron Rodgers who has actually been really good this year. He hasn't been great by no means. He's been a 40-year-old quarterback. He can't move in the pocket very well. His arm strength is still good, but it's clearly diminishing. Anytime there's pressure, he's trying to get the ball out as quick as possible. Like Aaron he's been a shell of himself, but he's still been all right. Like Aaron has been a top 20 quarterback this year. And for the Pittsburgh Steelers, that's about what they were hoping to get out of Aaron Rodgers. Now, we heard reports that they wanted Rodgers to return for one more year. And frankly, I think that would be best case scenario for Pittsburgh, because 2027, again, I'll say it again, might be a little bit deeper and might be a little bit better. You get a quarterback in 2027 who can start for you, and let Rodgers retire after that. Could end up being a good case here. But what if Rodgers doesn't want to play? What if the Pittsburgh Steelers make it to the playoffs and lose in the wild card round, and Rodgers just realizes there's not much more he can do in the NFL? Like, sure, he might return to want to break some more records, but he's already broken enough. He's already done a lot of good things in his career. Like, I just don't think Rodgers is this guy that wants to return. He was already contemplating it this offseason. What's going to make it the next offseason any different? So my guess is that Rodgers probably will retire. And if Rodgers does retire, what do the Steelers do at quarterback? Do they do the Mac Jones thing that I talked about earlier with the Cardinals? Do they try Mac Jones out, or do they try a guy that has talent that hasn't really been given a fair shot, maybe like a Trey Lance or something like that? Do they give that guy a chance? Because look, Pittsburgh has a roster that's ready to win now. It's not a team that can sit here and just wait around, because they got older players. Cam Hayward, TJ Watt, DK Metcalf's up there in age now. Like, this is an older-ish roster. There are some young pieces that can transition them to the future, but they got a lot of win-now guys. And if you're going to be a win-now team, you got to have a win-now quarterback. And I don't know if they have that win-now quarterback, at least yet. They got to figure that out. I don't know if Rodgers returns next year. If he does, then cool. He can start next year, and then 2027 in a deeper class, we can make a move for a quarterback. But if Rodgers does retire, what's the game plan? That's going to be really fascinating to me. One of the storylines of the offseason, in my opinion, completely one of the storylines. Next up, let's talk about the Cleveland Browns. Shedeur Sanders got his moment last night, and he was bad. 4 of 16, 47 passing yards, 16 rushing yards, an interception, took a couple sacks. Not good. Not good at all. And Dylan Gabriel has looked not good either, right? You know who Dylan is. You probably know who Shedeur is. Those are not your future quarterbacks. They're not. I get it. They're young. They got some talent to them. They're decent. They could be backups in the league, but no, they're not going to be your future quarterbacks. You don't want Shedeur to be your future quarterback. That's been made pretty clear this year. And you probably don't want Dylan to be your starter either. Dylan is a backup. Shedeur will figure out where he is in the league in future years. You got to get a quarterback eventually. The Browns do have 2 first-round picks this year from the Travis Hunter trade, so they're going to have a chance to take a quarterback and maybe take a receiver or an offensive lineman. They're going to be in position to do that this year. They're already bad enough with their own pick where they can probably get Mendoza or Dante or Simpson or somebody else. They're going to be in position. You got to get that guy, because this defense is really good. It's really good, and there's some pieces here. I do believe the Browns would be wise to hit a firm reset button in a lot of different positions, including probably head coach, reset the room, have a clear vision, know what you want your team to look like in the future, and then head in that direction. Because as of right now, the Browns look a little bit directionless on offense. They don't have a ton of money. They don't have a ton of capital. They have 2 first-round picks, though. You got to spend them wisely. I do think quarterback is in the mix. Again, Shedeur Sanders looked lost out there. Dylan Gabriel, for the most part this year, has looked very conservative. Those are not franchise quarterbacks. I mean, unless Shedeur can completely turn it around, which I'm not expecting, those are not franchise guys. They're just not. You are a franchise now that has been in need of quarterback for so many years. Go get you a guy. Go get a first-round pick. Go spend it on Simpson, go spend it on Dante Moore, and do everything in your power to surround him with talent and make him the guy, right? Have a unified vision of what this team is going to look like moving forward in terms of how you're going to surround that young quarterback with as much pieces as possible. Don't flip and flop with him. Don't give up on him too quickly like they did Baker. Just commit to him and build around him as best you physically can. And if he fails, he fails. But at least you'll have a decent enough offense to go ahead and take another one in a future year. So get you a quarterback. It's not Shedeur. It's not Dylan. It's just not. And the last team I'm going to talk about is the New York Jets. When you look at this New York Jets offense, it's actually not that bad. Like, they got some real pieces to work with here. A decent offensive line. You got Adonai Mitchell now paired with Garrett Wilson. We'll see if Mitchell can turn it up and really show off his talent, because he's got that glimpses. He's got the moments. Can he put it together? You got Mason Taylor. If you re-sign Breece Hall, you have Breece Hall. Defensively, they're not going to be great, but they do have a good defensive mind head coach, Aaron Glenn. There seems to be a unified vision over there. This is a team that, you know, they don't have to take a quarterback this year because they could wait one more year, play out the Justin Fields contract for another year, or let Tyrod Taylor start. I don't know. Either one works for me, and continue to kind of accumulate assets, develop talent, and then draft a quarterback in 2027 that might have the higher ceiling. For me, my personal take on it is, if you're drafting in the top 5, which they probably will, in fact, they will, they might have the number 1 or number 2 overall pick, you have a chance to get your franchise guy in Ty Simpson or Fernando or Dante Moore. Sure, they may not be as good as the projections of a Dylan Raiola, Arch Manning, some of these other guys that might come out in 2027, but you have a surefire thing, right? What happens if the Jets next year are actually a good football team, right? Like, they're not a bad team. Like, they win 7 games next year and end up with like the 7th or 8th overall pick. Now you put yourself in a spot where you're not going to be drafted number 1 overall. Sure, you have the assets to trade up, but why? Why do that? Why not just go ahead and take your guy this year, Ty Simpson, throw him in, or I'm saying Ty Simpson, and we'll just say Simpson, Fernando, any of those guys. Take that guy, put him into an offense that has a lot of pieces already there, spend your other first-round pick on defense, and then 2027, depending on what happens with Mendoza, Simpson, Moore, whoever, if they play decent enough that you feel good about them, then okay, take the entire 2027 class to draft weapons, to draft corners, linebackers, defensive linemen, whatever you might need. They have plenty of money too. So the Jets are in a really good spot here to make some actual moves. I think go ahead right now, get that quarterback, the best one you think. For me, I probably would say Ty Simpson, but if they go Mendoza, I have no issue with it either. Take that quarterback. And here's the thing. If they play just so dog shit in their first season of the NFL, you have a first-round picks next year. Just take one then. If they are so bad this year in their rookie season that you just say, we can't get with this guy, then cool. You have a first-round pick next year to take the future guy. So to me, that's what I would do. I would ultimately say, take the quarterback this year and then focus on rebuilding your team the next 2 years around that quarterback, and that unified vision can start to come into place. We'll have to wait and see though. Guys, let me know in the comment section below, who are teams that need a quarterback? Did I miss one? Did I forget one? Let me know down below. Hit the like and subscribe button. Love you guys. Peace.